Hey, what's up, everyone, and greetings from BlizzCon. I'm now being joined by a very special guest, so why don't you introduce yourself and tell me what you do at Blizzard?
Sure. I'm Travis McGeathy. I'm the lead game designer for Heroes of the Storm.
Cool. Yeah. So without further ado, let's get to the nitty-gritty and ask Travis some questions about all the new changes at BlizzCon and everything Heroes of the Storm. All the good stuff. So the upcoming changes at BlizzCon, or announced at BlizzCon, are really, really exciting. Out of all those changes, which is your personal favorite?
I've got two. I'm a systems designer at heart, so the performance-based matchmaking change is kind of like the holy grail for me. Yes. That one's incredible. As a player, the camera change. I've been playing with it internally for a few months now, and I can't wait to be able to play with that on my live server.
Yeah, definitely one of my favorite too. The camera is pretty amazing. Once you play with it, you never want to miss it.
I know. It's so fast.
Yeah. So I'm a support main, and speaking of the camera, I think it really helps some supports like Ana or even Azaria, who's not technically a support but still needs a lot of vision, to really have more overview and have like more efficiency on the abilities, because you can see people from afar now. When did you come up with that change, and who had the idea?
It's actually something we've been talking about for a really long time. There's a balance between how far the camera is and performance, and if you pull it back too far, things actually get worse because everything's too small. So we've been talking about it for a really long time, and we just, it was a few months ago, we kind of decided to just kind of pull the trigger on it, and we changed it internally. And there are a few concerns that went back and forth, but very quickly everybody kind of ended up in the state I'm in, where we really want this out on the live servers, and then it's just been a process of going through the kind of the due diligence to make sure we're not breaking anything and doing that. Like anytime you pull something back like that, we need to make sure that areas you couldn't see before that you can now look good and those kind of things. There's a lot of these other cascading changes that come out of it.
Yeah. It's really safe to say that the game itself looks much more beautifully now, because it just feels smoother overall. It's a nice package, and I think it's a good deal.
Yeah.
So next question. Heroes of the Storm has brought a lot of cool and unique things to the MOBA genre. Speaking of healing fountains, the gates, for example, flexible talent trees. One of the new changes, or one of the new features, is going to be the removal of ammo on towers and forts. And that's going a little bit more mainstream, because in other games, other titles of that genre, we don't have that either. So what was the thought process behind taking that step?
Sure. So ammo has always been a little controversial internally, because it allows players to play a little more passively than you could otherwise. Like you can go clear out the minion waves, and then you can leave the lane, let the minions soak ammo, and still gain benefit. You're effectively winning the lane without being there. And so one of the things we've been looking at with all of these changes is we're trying to make the laning phase a little more impactful and interesting, and allowing players to kind of stand out more when laning. And so as part of that, we want to also encourage aggressive play, and that's where this came from. So we pulled ammo out to see what the impact was internally, and we ended up liking the change, and so we've gone with that.
Cool. Yeah. Another big topic is stealth in almost any MOBA game. It's very hard to sometimes balance stealth heroes. It's very hard to find a good mix to not make the players angry about them. So stealth is going to get changed with the new update. And what are the challenges as a designer or as a developer to really make stealth a pleasing mechanic without making it too powerful?
Yeah, stealth's a rough one. With the way we had it currently, it was almost impossible to balance across the entire game, because a lot of the power of stealth came from that eye test of, can my opponent see me? Which is, in some ways, it's just the physical limitations of the human eye. And especially like myself, I'm getting older, my eyesight's not as good. It becomes harder to pick out those stealth players. And then you go to like the pro scene, where these guys have like eyes like eagles, and the stealth player might as well be walking on glowing. You just can see them. And so you see the stealth heroes just absolutely destroying in like quick match. You don't see them much in competitive play, and then they almost non-existent in esports, with the exception of like Zeratul, who's not picked for his stealth, he's picked for his, his ganking abilities and like Void Prison, that kind of thing. And so our goal with this was to sort of balance that out, and we wanted to remove that eye test as the kind of the factor that makes stealth characters so powerful, so that we could balance things. And so we made the shader, the visibility of the character, they're more visible now when moving, and then allowed us to then buff up all the characters so that they're more valuable, hopefully at all the different levels of play. Yeah. We have been playing with this internally for a while now. We had a bunch of folks out a few weeks ago, community folks like pros, streamers, that kind of thing, to try out these changes. And one of the bits of feedback we got from them was they really liked the changes, but you kind of lost that feeling playing against stealth of where are they, right? And so what we did, and we showed this off in the video yesterday, it's not currently at BlizzCon, but it will be in the PTR build, is when a stealth character holds still, currently for 1.5 seconds, they go fully invisible. So
no shimmer, no outlines, nothing.
Correct. You cannot see them. And as soon as you move or attack, you're visible again. But that really brought back that feeling of where are they, right? Is that guy, he could be hiding anywhere. Yeah. And so we're really proud, we're really happy with that change. And we'll see how that plays out when we go.
That's really cool. If you think about maps like Volska Foundry, for example, if you place one of those stealth heroes on the platform and they don't move at all, the enemy players really have to find out where that one hero is standing at.
Yeah, that's actually been one of the challenges, is a fully stealth hero taking an objective is problematic. So one of the things we are looking at is, while claiming an objective, you probably won't be fully stealth. Once it's in your hands, you'll be fully stealth. We're iterating on that right now.
All right, so we're moving on from stealth to another very crucial point, the performance-based progression. And it's definitely my personal baby. I think it's super exciting. It'll make a lot of players very happy. And as much as I like the feature, I think there could potentially be some problems. So I want to ask you, how do you prevent the system from getting exploited or abused? For example, somebody trying to save his KDA in order not to, do too shabbily and then go AFK instead of just continue playing.
Yep. We saw, I like to watch Reddit after all these things, and that's like the big concern. People come up, they're comparing us to like the Overwatch system, which, kind of had mixed reviews on that. I wanted to say that our system, while the foundational concept is similar, the implementation is very different. The way we've implemented is effectively machine learning, and it's looking at around 20 different stats for every hero in the game. And it's not that some stats don't matter for some heroes and some do, it's just how much they matter. And so it's really going to be very, very difficult to game the system. So it's looking at, first off, the perfect situation you're in. So it looks at the slice of data is by your hero, by the battleground you're on, the region you're in, and it even slices up by MMR band and game time. So short games, effectively, if you think of the stats as being done by second, effectively. So a 10-minute game stats have different than a 20-minute game. So there's all of these things, and the system is constantly teaching itself about what's important. So we're looking at all of these data slices across the entire community of the game, and from there you can differentiate what makes a particular hero more impactful when played by a high-skilled player. Now, to game the system, I also should mention that in order for your MMR to go up, you still have to win the game. So to game the system, you would have to, first off, be winning, and second off, be playing as effectively as possible with that character. And at that point, I'd say the game system is more gaming you, because you're playing the character really well and you're winning, right? Mm-hmm.
So, can you say that if you lose a game, you're not going to get any MMR improvements?
Correct, yeah, you never gain MMR in a loss.
So if you're about to lose a game, there's no use going AFK and just to save your KDA, for example.
Correct, yeah. Now, you do still have the benefit of trying to play as good as possible when losing, because if you're outperforming what the expectations are for your current MMR and you lose, you're going to lose less MMR.
Cool. That's very nice. So you're basically limiting the losses. Yeah. Very cool. That basically solved my next question as well, which was like, how do you prevent certain heroes from falling out of grace? For example, Murky, who dies a lot, or Leoric, whose trade is very good if he's dead.
Right, it's because you're being compared against other heroes of the same type.
Exactly. Yep. Exactly. Cool. So almost the last question for this interview. It was a question from the community, actually, on Twitter, and we have Steven Livingston here. Hello, Steven. Hi, Steven. Can you give us an update on third bans for Hero League or Team League, or is it still,
secret? No, we've been talking about it internally. We want to get to the point where there's enough of the different roles that a third ban isn't going to just lock people down. And I think with the release of Alex Straza, we're probably at the state where we've got enough solid solo tanks and solo supports so we can start doing that. I don't have a time frame for when we'll bring it in. We are talking about maybe doing it next year sometime. If we bring it in, it'll be a mid ban, so you'll get one up front and then two in the mid cycle. Cool.
So 2018 is a good thing to keep in mind.
Yeah, for that. I don't know when it will land because it's development time, but
right.
That's work.
Okay, cool. And to round this interview up, we're going to end it with a lightning round. So I'm going to ask you a couple of quick questions, and I want a very quick answer. Alliance or Horde?
Horde.
Damn it. But I got one for you now as a Horde. Thrall or Sylvanas?
Oh, geez. Sylvanas at this point.
Okay.
Yeah.
Even a little bit of love for the opposing faction. Varian or Anduin?
Varian.
Gotcha.
Yes.
Good one.
Yeah.
Genji or Hanzo?
Oof. Genji. Yeah.
Cool. Who would you rather want to meet in a dark alley at night? One Cho'Gall-sized Murky or a dozen Murky-sized Cho'Galls?
No, give me all the Murkies.
Gotcha. Pineapple pizza, yay or nay?
No.
Finally somebody.
No, that's ridiculous. It's not even pizza. That's just an abomination.
Good. And last one. Who would you rather... no, sorry, I think I skipped one. No, that was the last one. There we go. We're through.
Did I win?
I think you won.
Awesome.
Except for the hard part. We're going to have to talk about that one. But
yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much for your time, Travis, and keep doing the awesome work for Heroes of the Storm.
Thanks. Pleasure.
Thank you.
Yeah.